Tommy Rex, and you're listening to today's Boondoggle.
This is Mark Metcalf, and you are listening to today's Boondoggle with Bailey on Domain Cleveland Radio.
You are listening to today's Boondoggle with Bailey on Domain Cleveland Radio. Yes, Kato Kalin listens to this all the time.
Welcome to today's Boondoggle. Now, here's your host.
What's going on, everybody? It's Bill Bailey with today's Boondoggle, and we're catching up. We're wow, I mean, it's perfect for what the weather's been like out here in Cleveland, man. Because I'm sitting there talking with Krysis from under the black sky. What's going on, man? How you doing?
Hey, buddy, how are you? Yeah, I guess you guys would be in a little bit of a crisis up there, huh? With that weather.
Oh yeah. It's always winter time rolls around, and it's always seems like we're under a black sky the whole winter, man. You know.
Well, hopefully we can come see you soon.
Yeah, sounds good, man. I hope so too. Yeah. So anyway, like usually when I have people on for the first time, I like to get a little bit of a background. So, do you remember like when you were like little Krysis, what you originally wanted to be when you grew up?
I wanted to be exactly what I'm doing right now. I mean, it's, you know, you know, how people used to ask you when you were young, what do you want to be when you grow up? And I think sometimes we're still trying to figure that out. But I will tell you that the one thing that stood firm, one thing that that I never deviated from is I wanted to do this. This is what, I mean, I wanted to entertain. I wanted to play music. I wanted to, you know, I was blown away by how music could have such an impact on so many different ways to an individual. And I was, you know, an example of that. And music hit me so strong when I was young. I said, man, I don't know how I'm going to do this, but this is exactly what I want to do for the rest of my life. So that is kind of what brought us to this point.
Nice. And who were some of the earliest influences that kind of led you here?
Well, earliest, I mean, if you go way back, I think that, you know, there's going to be influence, you know, mostly metal influences, you know, that kind of got me going. But when it comes to, I think the first time I saw KISS, the first thing I was like, whoa, I don't even know what's happening right now. I don't know what this really is, but it's badass. And, you know, I want to be a part of that, you know? And so that was definitely one, you know, visually. And then sonically, when you get into bands like, you know, Black Sabbath or Iron Maiden, and, you know, some of these other bands that kind of, you know, Ozzy and bands that kind of like, they changed the whole landscape of music, and just the heaviness and the just raw, just aggression was like, okay, I got to go this direction. This was, you know, something that I never heard before. And I just, you know, it just kind of carved out a piece of where we wanted to go from a music perspective.
And then like, as you know, you started growing up, like what was the scene like, you know, in your hometown?
So, yeah, I tell you, honestly, when I was growing up, you know, even in, you know, in junior high and high school, it was, you know, it was friends getting together and, you know, picking up instruments for the first time and getting into the garage and just sounding terrible, you know, but, you know, it was loud and we were having a good time. And we did that long enough to the point where it was like, okay, this is not sounding so terrible anymore. And the local scene where, you know, was a bunch of other guys out there trying to do the same thing. And so, and that was a beautiful thing where you could literally lock yourselves into a room and then come out swinging with something that you felt that you wanted the rest of the world to hear. And so that's kind of how we, you know, well, individually as members, that's kind of how we got our start. And then obviously through the past of maturing and growing up, we've all been in multiple different bands and done some different things. And yeah, so I mean, that was kind of the early humble beginnings for sure.
And then when was it that you know, Under Black Sky came together for you?
So that was about 2022, 2023. I think it was coming out of a little bit coming out of COVID, and it kind of I think COVID kind of hit everybody in a particular way, where I think a lot of artists were out there saying, yeah, I might just call it a day, or it caused you to maybe have to redefine, everything that you thought was what you were doing prior to going into COVID has been torched, and so you kind of had to come up with a new concept or a new idea, and coming out of it, and I think that gave us an opportunity to sit back, reflect, and say, you know what, let's kind of reinvent ourselves and do something really unique. Let's do something that we really want to do, and whether people love it or hate it or whatever the case may be, we're going to do this because it's what we want to do. And that's kind of what took us to starting Under Black Sky, was to do something different. And it wasn't just not different just musically. It was different in imaging. It was different in storytelling. It was larger than music. It was going back to our roots a little bit, and on the entertainment side, and creating a real show, a live show, as opposed to, just like we always did in the past. We'd just get up and rock and roll, and hopefully people got off on it the way we did. But the reality is the market was flooded with so much great talent, so many artists out there. You start getting lost in the shuffle if you don't start doing things a little bit differently. So that's where the show came in, and we created this environment and this universe. That's where Bad Blood came out, and we really created a whole digital book. It was already a 3-part series into a trilogy of albums that we're already working on, and we really wanted to go back into some bands that that we saw do it really, really well in the past, even dating all the way back to like Pink Floyd or Queensryche or King Diamond, and just doing some things that are a little bit different.
Yeah. And what was the I always curious about like band names, like what was the inspiration for Under Black Sky?
Well, the funny thing is when nowadays, see, a long time ago, it was band names were easy, right? Because you didn't have there wasn't as many bands out there, right? So you could come up with a name and rock and roll and go for it. Now the marketplace is so robust, and there's so many people out there. It was really tough to find a band name, regardless. What you thought was cool, trust me, has already been taken. And you could make names up for something, and guess what? Somebody already made stuff up and took that name too. It really was pretty incredible. And then when we looked at what we were trying to create and the story we were trying to tell, and then we just started asking ourselves the questions of, well, what would this look like? What type of environment would it make sense? For a band like us and the story that we're telling, and what would that environment look like? And it was dark. It was dark, but it wasn't dark in a negative way necessarily. It was just dark because it was a little more aggressive, and but it was also dark in the fact that we also understand that without dark there is no light, right? So there's it's an absolute must, and it has to happen in order for people to go through maybe some challenges and things that they must have to go through to get out on the other side. They have to go through the dark place. So Under Black Sky just kind of came up, and we said, shit, I like that. And then we just did our searches and figured out, hey, you know what, this makes sense for us, and let's run with it.
Awesome. And then let's talk a little bit about like the kind of like you said, adding the theatrical side to it, then getting yourself to stand apart from like a lot of the other rock bands that are out there, like the character development for you guys. Like, have you always been the prophet and the voice of the unspeakable, or talk about how Krysis came to be?
So, you always have to look at this as what story are we telling? And I always look back at it as a kid, I like, and I still do, like movies. I think that movies are, I think they're an incredible opportunity to transcend yourself to another place and time. And when you walk into a theater and you feel one way, and you walk back out and you feel another. It's like it's a really cool transitional experience. And so when we kind of took that on as what are we doing? Is it and we did. It's like even going to a live show. It's like I want people to be able to walk into the back of a theater to a live show and feel like they're being immersed into another universe or another world, or feel like they're part of it, as opposed to some spectator watching somebody on stage perform. So when it came to our identities, we really kind of went into the lore of the storyline, and kind of assumed the identities that were brought out in the story itself. So I think that if you go to our website, underblacksky.com, and click on Enter the Codex, you'll read the whole story there. It's downloadable on PDF, or you can read it right there on the website. But you'll get a real good understanding of what Under Black Sky is, what it's about, where we're going, what the storyline is, and if you're big into finding some really great shows on Netflix, and some of the ones that you just can't put down, you just got to keep watching them because the next episode keeps coming. I want you to think of that when you read chapter 1 of Bad Blood. So that's kind of where we get started. So I think that you'll if you like that kind of stuff, I think you'll really dig it, and I think you'll really get into it and want to dive into the characters a little bit more. Find out, because there's some twists and there's turns. It's not just a, hey, my name's Krysis and I'm whatever. It's really a living, breathing. It's almost like we're like in this living, breathing play, and it's neat because it's unfolding in front of every song. Unfolds something new, and even at the end of Bad Blood, you realize that this is just the beginning. And as things thicken and things widen, we're going down a different direction and leaving people wanting more. So definitely, if you're out there and you really want to learn more about Under Black Sky, don't just listen to the music. That's only half of it. It won't make sense to you as much unless you go and read read Bad Blood chapter 1 first, and then go back and listen to it.
Nice. No, I like that concept. I was always, I'm old school. I love to get albums, and look at the artwork, and then
Sure.
Put on the headphones and listen to it, front to back, it was taking me on a story. It'd get me lost on a journey. And then I'm a big comic book fan, so like that, and like graphic novels and stuff I'll still read today. So I love when the two of my loves, are mixed in together,
Yes.
I love
you're going to dig it.
concept.
Yeah, you'll dig this, because it's right down that alley. And I feel the same way. It's like, I do remember what it was like. And I'm still very much that way when it comes to music, to give it the time it deserves to get lost in it. I think too many people today are listening to so much music, and their attention spans have become shorter and shorter and shorter. They don't give certain music enough time to really sink in. It's like, man, if I were to ask you, what was your, all-time or favorite album, and if I asked you, was that your favorite album the first time you heard the first song? It was probably like, no, man. It took me listening to that thing over and over and over and over again, and it became like my favorite thing. And so it didn't happen in the first 30 seconds. And so I really hope people dive in and really kind of listen to that. I hope they pick up the vinyl. I hope they read the story. I hope they close their eyes and put their headphones on and just jam out to it, and even look at the visuals that are created for each song, basically, which is another subset in the chapter 1. So it definitely will whisk you off to another place if you'll let yourself.
Nice. Yeah, we need to, man. I mean, I get like the TikTok generation we got going on here,
Yep.
It's just like scroll, and then it's like the music industry, it seemed to have gone that way with streaming,
Sure.
It's just like, it's all about singles now. And I don't know, like I said, I'm old school, man. I enjoy taking a break and going somewhere, going on a journey with the art and the music and the story,
I miss that,
Yeah.
and I would love for hey man, even if there's a handful of us that feel that way, and I feel the more I talk about this, the more I realize people are just like us, and they miss those types of things. And I think if we can be the voice to so many other people that never had those experiences, those poor people don't know what they're missing. And it's only because no one's ever sat down and said, listen, put that thing down, put your headphones on, pick this up, read it, lose yourself in it, hit me back in an hour and let me know how you feel. I think that would be a great opportunity for people to look at music a whole different way than scrolling on a TikTok feed for 7 to 10 seconds at a time and never letting it really sink in and experience it.
Yeah, and then it's like, your brain doesn't develop to its full potential or anything either.
Right.
It's just like that spark of creativity and imagination seems to be like lost or purposefully, dumbed down.
Right.
I feel like, it's like I see it with, and I fall victim to it too, with this thing,
Sure.
at times. But it's just when I look at my childhood and I remember the memories of things that, with very little I could have a great time. I could come up with things because my mind would make it so. And like, my daughters, I mean, they're like, I'd always have to try and tell them some stories. Hey, take a break from whatever. And now my girlfriend and her kids, it's the same thing. Like,
right.
Her kids will get so bored that they always need something to keep them entertained so much. And I'm just like, dude, you have what you need to entertain you in between your ears.
That's fact.
Like,
yeah. And you're right.
Don't look for something else to do it. You do it,
So
man.
true.
Go on that journey.
I see it every day. I see it every day. And I see it in a lot of the younger generation. And it's a shame because they're missing out. They're missing out on some really, really great stuff. I always tell, and I had kids too. And I told them, listen, if you, there's 20 years from now, you're not going to remember all the crap that you were scrolling. You're being robbed of all the memories that you should be experiencing right now. And I'd hate for you to wake up 20 years from now and say, man, I don't know. If you were to ask me what these great memories were of my childhood, or if I had to ask you what was that favorite video you saw on TikTok 20 years from now, you'll laugh at me. It's like, I don't know. I watched 10,000 of those things. What do you mean? So,
yeah, exactly. I mean, look at Hollywood today. It seems like we keep retreading the same old stuff. There's nothing new coming out, and and it's just but anyway, I mean, I don't want to go off on a soapbox there.
Yeah, man. All good.
But like I guess I don't know. Maybe this is a nice segue. Like, when I'm trying to keep my girlfriend's kids, entertained, or just to kind of like look at, hey, this is what this is doing to your brain. Here's some way you can be creative. I'll show you how to do it. Let's talk about your single. I'll show you.
Absolutely. No, it was actually one of my favorite tracks on the album, just because it was I always say it's kind of a crossover type of song. It's like, it's very mainstream. It's kind of pop, but very rock, and it's got some heavy parts to it. But the meaning is deep, and the meaning is, it's like, when you're trying to overcome things, and the majority of the people out there are poo-pooing everything that you're doing, or telling you it's not going to work, or the haters just keep coming. And, you got to let that feed you in the positive way, because there's tons of ways to handle certain things that come your way. The best way to handle it is use that as fuel to, for your success. And so I have, you have an opportunity to communicate that to well, it doesn't matter how old you are. I mean, there's things that come at us a million times a day. It's a matter of what we do with what comes at us and how we respond. And I think this is a great anthem to kind of say, you know what, keep coming. I'll show you.
Yeah, exactly. And then, As you mentioned, encourage everybody to go to kind of the website and read the story before listening to the music to kind of get like a background. But let's talk a little bit about Bad Blood Chapter 1. That's like
Sure.
This is the first chapter of the book of the story that's being written or being told about Under Black Sky. Then,
Yes, and I'm excited about it because it forces people to look at things a little bit differently, like we just talked about. I mean, it forces a person that loves music, but they're not used to sitting down and dedicating 45 minutes to an album. And I don't know if you were to ask the majority of people out there, when's the last time you sat down and listened to an album front to back without distractions, without your phone in your hand, without whatever, just getting lost and for 45 minutes straight. And I think there's a lot of people who would say, man, I don't know if I've ever done that. And I think if you haven't done that, you don't know what you're missing, because like you said, the thing between your two ears is an amazing, amazing thing. And if you don't give it an opportunity to do what it's meant to do, you're robbing yourself. And I think, forcing, like I said, it's got to be more about, it has to be more about a full immersive experience, in my opinion, than just music anymore. Music is what got us here, but it's not going to hold people's attention as much as it used to. There's too much information out there. There's too much being force fed to us where we can just rely on the music alone to do this for us. So this was kind of a unique experiment for us to see if we can reach some new people, to get them to get them to slow down for a minute, pick up something, really sink their teeth into it, get past the first 10 seconds or so and let it keep going, and then let yourself fall in love with it, and like I said, and it's okay to get lost or having a little bit of an escape from everything else that's going on right now. So I think if you do start with reading the Bad Blood Chapter 1, I think that it'll be interesting to hear some of the folks out there and their perspective on it after they read it. And then because once you read it, your mind's already engaged. Your mind's already painted the picture. The world has been created. The characters are there. I mean, you're bought in. But now you go back with those images, and then you listen to the music. You could literally look at the image, go back to the first song, and go all the way to the end, and it will just bring that whole story back to life, which I think is going to be really, really unique. I think today, because I don't think people are doing that anymore.
Well, yeah, and it just had me thinking too. It's like when you read something, you have to be engaged, you have to be focused, to really to take it in. Like when I listen to most of my music, unfortunately these days, I'm either like I have the headphones on at the gym, or I'm in my car driving. So there's something else going on that's keeping my attention while in the background I'm kind of like listening to the music. Yeah, but just making that time to engage, like you said, reading. And it's funny, I find it ironic that you guys came out. This was created out of the COVID era when, we were kind of like forced to sit down and be on timeout, and how quickly we've forgotten since.
Yes.
I mean, I tell people all the time, I mean, I was blessed to not really lose any loved ones during that time period. So I can't relate to, that loss that a lot of people experience, because I look at, for me, it was like almost like a blessing, man. My kids are grown up. They don't like hanging out with dad anymore. They were forced to be back at home, and we were forced to have that relationship, rebuild that relationship. I was forced to like just take time to evaluate, my life and look at other things, So you guys are kind of like that reminder. We were under a black sky during that time period. A lot of people looked at it like we didn't know what was going to happen. And you guys are kind of that reminder, like, hey, don't forget that being still and being calm can be a good thing,
Well, it can get you to, like I said, reset, and can get you to, like I said, take a step back and get a different perspective and understand what's most important. and focus some of those energies are on the things that are most important, because today's just another day. Tomorrow's not promised. And
Yeah.
so you have to you got to make everything you possibly can out of the time that you do have, and be thankful for that. And I think that, like I said, there's under black sky is like a transition, and it's a transition to where it is that you want to go. And like I said, we all have dark times, but how do we respond to those dark times, and what do we do with that? And there's like I said, without sounding cliche, there's always light at the end of the tunnel, man. It's like there's always something great getting ready to happen, but you have to have your mindset that way in order for you to receive that.
Yeah, exactly. Like I'm in recovery, so it's like, they always say this too shall pass.
Yeah, man.
And during that time period too, it's just like, I said this the other night I do meetings and stuff too, and I met a lot of people I would never have met in my local recovery community if it wasn't for that time period, because we adapted, we got on Zoom, and I made a lot of friends all across the country that I've been, blessed to meet. And like I said this after a recent trip out to LA to go meet a bunch of these people that have impacted my life the past several years through our regular meeting online on these squares like this. And I said, I look back as grateful for that time period, because I would never have met you guys and form these relationships and learn what I learned. And yeah, do I get caught up in the day-to-day nonsense now that we're back off to the races?
Right.
Yeah. But I try not to be a quick forgetter. There's nothing I can do about mistakes I made in the past, like you said, and tomorrow's not promised. So all I got is today. And that's what they teach me in my program all the time, to stay focused on today, on the moment,
Yeah, man. The past is the past. Those were just lessons, just a little guidance on where we're going next,
Yeah. And, I like how it was described too with Bad Blood Chapter 1. It's your debut transmission.
Yes.
I like that. Like, does that go more kind of into like the storyline of the creative and the coming together?
It does.
Of the band. It's funny because Halloween just passed, and I go back and I watch a lot of my old horror, genre movies that I'm a fan of. And one that I don't think gets enough, I'm a big John Carpenter fan, and I was watching Prince of Darkness, you know, and there's that scene in there about the transmission that keeps coming when everybody goes to sleep and whatever.
Yeah.
So then I started kind of thinking about that, is there any kind of influences for you guys?
I think there's and there's a lot, and obviously those are movies are staple type movies, right? And I think that there's been a lot of influences since those movies came out, so I think if you went down that path and you look at the dystopic type worlds and looking at all the things that are happening right now while we're living our life, with everything that's going on in the world, there's a lot going on right now.
Yeah.
There's a lot happening. And if you ask somebody 50 years ago what was happening, they'd probably say there's a lot happening right now. And there's always something happening, and there will be 50 years from now. But I think that when you take a look at that and say, well, what could this world look like if it was extrapolated out, another 50 years? You look at what it could look like if certain decisions were made, or how would you respond to this? And then you got to take it into let's take a look. So once you dive into the story, you'll start realizing, oh man, this isn't super far-fetched, because literally if you were to extrapolate, like I said, some of the things that are happening today and go down that path, man, I can see how some of this stuff could happen. And so I think that, when it comes back to the transmission, I think that you'll see, and there's something called the order beneath, which when you read, you'll understand what the order beneath really is, and what it stands for, and who's following this order beneath. And I think that transmission comes directly from there, and how it's being transmitted is very unique, and certain people hear it and certain people don't. And so I think that and even when we put our the latest release we put out called Pull Through, we did a video on that, which hints into the concept of how transmissions from the order are going out to the public in marks on people and what they see and whether they see it or they feel it or they think they do, but they're not sure if other people around them see, feel, and hear the same thing they do. It's a interesting pathway into the story itself.
Nice. Yeah, I'm gonna have to definitely go to the website and get into that. Now, what was the website again?
It was underblacksky.com.
Underblacksky.com.
Yep. And
Okay.
then you just click on enter the codex, and then that's where your the story is at.
Nice. Yeah, I'll have to get into that for sure. And then you guys just did you just wrap up the tour, right? The Undead Roadshow tour. Now, is this been your official tour as Under the Black Sky too, or Under Black Sky?
Yeah. So we want to do everything just the right way, and it took. We could have done this a couple of years ago, probably, but all the pieces of the puzzle kind of really needed to be in alignment in order for us to do this the right way. So it was worth the wait to do it right, have the album come out. We wanted to get out and kind of flex the show on the road for a bit just to see how the response is. And then obviously seek collaboration. We actually have a Facebook group for anybody that's still on Facebook anymore. It's The Order Beneath. So, but that Facebook group is there because that's our way to communicate to people that are really into the story, into the music, or both, because we're all about collaboration. So for an example, as the story unfolds, some of the twists and the turns might be of what happens, later on down in the story might come from a suggestion from you or somebody else in the group. Or we like to ask the questions. Hey, what do you see happening here? Or, hey, you went to the show. Here's what happened. What did you like? What did you not like? What would you like to see? Some of the best ideas and thoughts are not going to come from us. They're going to come from other people, and we welcome that. So we do want to kind of build a community that wants to see Under Black Sky grow, but we also want people to feel part of it. Just like they're another member of the band as well, and because without them, there is no Under Black Sky, and wouldn't even make any sense. So we really do solicit as much feedback and collaboration as possible, because we want to make you feel a part of it just the way we are.
And two, like you were saying before Under Black Sky came together, you guys were just out there rocking under different projects and stuff like that. What was it like now actually taking the theatrical side and the characters now out on the road and getting, is there a different prep, obviously, not just getting dressed but mentally getting into character than there was back when you would take the stage prior?
Yeah, for sure, because and they're both great. I mean, even going out prior and just getting out there and rocking is awesome, and but at the same time, there's something about preparing for performing, and it's not just music. You're trying to tell a story through that process, and getting into character and incorporating the LED screens with the intros and the transitions that tell parts of the story, and the visuals and the images and the broadcasts and the things that were happening all throughout the live show, bring a visual aspect to help us tell the story as much as possible, because music can't do the whole thing. So we try to bring in the visuals as much as we possibly can to really kind of pull everything together, from the very opening of the show to the very end and when we close out. There's a very defined beginning of our show, and as it transcends throughout that show and to the very end, there's a reason and rhyme for everything. And in the prep for that is I always look at it as almost I don't never done this before, but if you're an actor in a play, that's kind of how it is. I mean, you're stepping into a different world, and you're becoming a different person to tell this particular story. And I think that we're all really into that. And I think because of it, it really kind of lends itself through that show to hit people in a different area. I mean, they come out and they're like, this is great. I mean, I really had a good time. I really enjoyed this, or I really enjoyed that. And I never seen somebody do that before, or I never would have thought of that. And so what we do want is we want to make sure that we give somebody, whether they love, hate, whatever the music, we want them to come in there and be entertained. And even if they hate what we're doing, we want them to leave going, man, wasn't really crazy about that, but I really dug what they did here. Or I really have some respect for that because they just did something unique and different, and I really, enjoyed it. Like any movie that you went to, there's probably some things you loved, some things you didn't like about the movie, but you'll talk about it with other people, which we want people to do. We don't want people just to leave the show and say, okay, well, that was good, and they don't talk about it. We want people to engage in conversation. We want people to talk about it. What did you love? What did you hate? What would you like to see different? Those types of things.
Yeah. And like we were talking earlier, I think before we came on, about some of my friends commenting on some of the past interviews I had with people that are they put the makeup on, they get into the character, they're dedicated to showing it. It had people hitting me up and talking, because they saw the interview. So
right.
Regardless, even this conversation, when they see the screenshot or whatever on YouTube and all that, they're gonna be talking like, okay, maybe I got to take a look at this. Isn't just two guys having a conversation. This dude's got his gear on,
Yeah, I mean, I think, like I said, I think that sometimes it's that one little thing that's a little bit different that is the door opener. And if that gets you to say, you know what, let me go read that story they're talking about, you might really fall in love with that story. And it might be something that's like, hey man, that's or that story resonates with you in a way that I could never have explained that because it's your life, not mine. And or maybe something about one of the songs hit you in a certain way, or empowered you to feel a certain way, or whatever the case may be. That's what we're here for, and we love to hear those stories.
Nice. And then like we were saying, you guys you just got off the road. What's next on the agenda? What are you guys working on now?
So there's a lot happening behind closed doors right now. So 2026 is going to be, I think, going to be a big year. We've got a lot of things lining up, and I think that we're going to be hitting the road here pretty soon. But no announcements that we can come up with just yet. Heck, we're already ready for chapter 2. I mean, we're not sitting on things. We had all this kind of lined up before we even from day one. So
yeah, you said you already kind of got like the trilogy, so at least the first 3 chapters are kind of.
Yep. So we're already, we're just waiting for the right time to do certain releases. But like I said, I do want to leave a little bit open because I do. Towards the end, I do want some collaboration. I do want some people to chime in. I do want for people to feel that they're a part of it. And I like to hear the feedback on the storyline and what people like most about the storyline.
Nice. Well, hey, Krysis, man, it's good talking with you and getting to know a little bit more about Under Black Sky. Before we get ready to wrap up, I want to ask you just a couple questions that I normally ask guests that I have on.
Sure.
We talked about, some of the earliest influences for you musically, but who's your top 3 artists that you're listening to today?
Today, it's funny because it goes all over the place. But I will tell you, I mean, I get the majority of my listening done in the gym as well. so, and I tell you, I mean, one is an old school band that many people may or may not have heard of, a band called Coroner. If you haven't heard these guys, they just put out a new album, and it's insane. So if you've got to check them out. Coroner, they're bad, they're heavy, but man, they're good. And then I would say Wage War is probably one of the bands I'm really into right now. And Of Mice and Men are just coming out with some new stuff that just got me reignited about listening to them again. But the list could go on and on and on. So but there's so much talent out there right now, and it's almost overwhelming because there's so much good stuff out there, and so many great talented artists.
Yeah, I agree. And then what clash do you feel? I mean, we were both talking earlier about being parents. What and things that we're trying to pass along to our kids with creativity and everything. But what
Sure.
class do you feel should be mandatory before graduating high school today?
Social 101. learn how to be to communicate to people. Look me in the eye, shake my hand, tell me hello. Yes, sir. Thank you. I would like some of that, please. Whatever the case may be. I just, I think that is that. And I said a close second, if not number one, would be financial literacy. That would be the other one.
Yeah. That's usually the number one answer I get. It's financial literacy or taxes and stuff. But yeah, I'm with you on that whole, I mean, just look you in the eye, shaking hands, learn how to communicate. And
who would ever thought we'd have to teach this kind of stuff,
Exactly. I didn't know we'd get to a place where I forget who I was talking to the other day, but it's just like, teaching, I was, manners were always like big taught to me growing up, respect your elders, have to have some manners or whatever. This new kind of parenting is just like, I don't know, man. It's like, I'm having to teach my girlfriend's kids manners sometimes, and it's like, oh, it's okay. It's not that. No, it is a big deal. It's like, they do it here. That means they're going to do it out there, So it's just like,
Well,
I'm not
right.
being like, trying to be an asshole. I'm just,
Yes.
Trying to help them in life. When they go out into the world, more people will, take notice, because now it's a rarity, apparently,
I know.
Thank
Well, like I
you.
said, us growing up, I was so thankful for the upbringing that I did have, because not that it was easy, because it wasn't easy. But and even if I thought at some time, God, man, what a jerk or whatever, and I don't want to do this or do that, I was so thankful for maybe some of the hard edge learning that I did get back then, because it kind of created those guardrails and what's acceptable, what's not acceptable, and I think that I hope that more people will take the time and try not to be so easy. Don't be your kid's best friend. Be their parent first.
Exactly.
And there'll be plenty of time for them to be friends later.
Yeah, exactly. And then, along those lines, like, who are 3 people who've inspired you and you can credit for making you the person you are today?
Oh man. Well, I would have to say my parents for sure. Like I said, upbringing was ultimately one of the most important things, and just having the maturity to look at, like I said, when we talked earlier, what you wanted to do when you grew up. And I was very, very young when I decided this is what I wanted to do. I mean, call it what it is. When you see a very, very young, I don't know, 9, 10, 11-year-old kid, we ask them what they want to do. I want to rock. I want to play rock and roll. That's what I want to do. Most parents would be like, hell no, you're not going to do that. This is what you're going to do. And for them to probably think that, they didn't say that. And they said, hey, listen, you know what? You can be whoever you want to be, what you ever want to be. You just, if that's what your heart's telling you, what you want to do, then you go bust your butt and do whatever you want to do, and you can accomplish anything that you want. And that type of encouragement, and it was just huge. And if I didn't have that every single day, I would never turn out the way I am today. And then I guess I would say I guess this all stays close to home, I suppose, because it's like there's a lot of people that I look to as, well, let's keep it metal. Let's keep it rock and roll. So if I was, growing up and I looked at certain artists or bands that I'm like, man, amazing. I always say Iron Maiden because I've seen them before, and if you haven't seen them, it's a spectacle, and it's something you won't really get it unless you go see them live. So, but if you look back at these guys and look at their history and look what they've done, and look at Bruce Dickinson, the vocalist, and who he is and things that he's overcome, and I mean, the guy pilots his own 747 around the world for a tour. I mean, and I'm like, I don't even know what to say about that. I don't even it's like a whole nother level of, when you're flying your own 747 to tour, you kind of have made it,
Yeah.
So I look at things like that, and going back to your question, some people that form who you are today, I just look at people like that, and I say, you know what? I can't sit here and wallow in whatever situation that I'm in when other people are out there doing things like that. Not to mention the guy has overcome cancer. He's done this, he's done that. I mean, it's like, I have nothing to complain about. I've got no good reason not to put my best foot forward and do everything I possibly can, because you know what? I'm, like you said, I'm highly blessed to have the ability to go do the things that I do. And I'm very thankful for that, because there are so many other less fortunate. So
Yeah.
very, 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 very happy to be here.
Awesome. And then any message you have for our military members that are currently serving overseas?
Yeah, man. One, we love you and appreciate everything that you guys do, even though I think there's a lot of people out there that unfortunately question what you're doing, why you're out there, or don't believe this and that. I absolutely 100% believe that you and all of our veterans out there, without you guys, we wouldn't have the freedom that we have to do the things that we have and to live out our wildest dreams, to do the things that we have. And so thank you. Keep rocking. And I hope that you also have an opportunity to dive into Under Black Sky, read the story. Maybe this is an opportunity for you to get lost for 45 minutes and kind of take you out of the mindset or put yourself in another situation, and just be safe out there.
Awesome. Krysis, man, I really appreciate your time, man, and talking to you. And I'll definitely be taking some time to dive into the story on the website.
Please do, man, and let me know. I'd love to hear your feedback, and once again, anything that comments, suggestions, collaboration. Hey, man, we just want to get out there and just have a good time and entertain and have fun and spread the good news,
Yeah, go ahead. Pitch that Facebook page or whatever again too.
Absolutely. Well, you can connect on that at underblacksky.com. Real quick, underblacksky.com, and everything you can find is on us. We're streaming everywhere globally. We've got a limited edition vinyl out for Bad Blood Chapter 1, and obviously we have our own Facebook group out there that we're connecting with all of our friends and family and fans at the order beneath. So make sure that you jump in there and say hello for us on that one, and make sure that you stay in contact on socials, on Instagram, Facebook, and TikTok, or wherever that you like to spend your time, so we can connect and hopefully see you guys out on the road here soon. 2026 is going to be an amazing year, and I hope we can see you all soon.
Awesome. Thanks again for your time, man.
Hey, appreciate you, buddy. Take care of yourself now.
All right, you too. Bye.
Listen up! Hold on to your seats. Grab your girls, grab your beers.
Hey everybody, this is Charlie from Anthrax, and you are listening to today's Boondoggle.
This is Mark Metcalf, and you are listening to today's Boondoggle with Bailey on Domain Cleveland Radio.
You are listening to today's Boondoggle with Bailey on Domain Cleveland Radio. Yes, Kato Kalin listens to this all the time.
Welcome to today's Boondoggle. Now here's your host,
listening to today's Boondoggle.
Hey, what's up? It's John from Skillet, and you are listening to today's Boondoggle on Domain Cleveland Radio.
That's